Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes. We are live in Facebook, sir.
Yeah, just a second. Have you already put on live or?
Yes, it's on live.
Okay. Yeah. Can you just give me a second? Can you give me a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone, audience. It's pleasure to have Mr. Parviz Alam from Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council. He's a CEO. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence here. It's more valuable to our community. Overall, most of our community are entrepreneurs. This is Mohan Das. Usually call me as Tas, everyone. I am the co-founder and director of United Business Circle. I also run a digital transformation company since past 10 years. So UBC is all about supporting the entrepreneurs to start, sustain, and grow. That is our main motto. We believe on mass entrepreneurship to elevate our Indian economy. So on that, we have mind map. We have we have mind map for supporting system for entrepreneurs, and based on that, we are conducting events and we are supporting them. Very soon, we are going to launch an app exclusive for the paid members where they can have share knowledge with their peer members, and also they can have a marketplace to buy and sell. And also we are going to add timeline and ads. More are coming.
Yeah. So it's a great to know about UBC, and then I keep seeing a lot of your interviews and webinars. It's good. I think for us the one letter word entrepreneur is attractive. I think you are working for the entrepreneur community, and then we're very glad to see how we can collaborate, how we can work together.
Yes.
I'm very glad to see that last couple of years there are so much community is trying to help entrepreneurs. It's a great move. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, sir. It's a need of the hour for create more ecosystems to create more entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's needed. First of all, I would like to introduce you, sir. Then about CIIC. Then we will go for a fire chat.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, Mr. Parviz is the CEO of Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council. I will ask a question after that about what is council. Sponsored by BSA Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, which nurtures startups and entrepreneurs. Mr. Parviz Alam graduated bachelor degree from Anna University and masters in management from Great Lakes Institute of Management, Chennai, and Stott School of Business, Chicago. He specialized in project and project management and awarded prestigious certificates from USA and UK. He is a PMP certified, PMI ACP, which means Agile certified practitioner, and he is also a Prince2 Foundation certified, and also he is a Microsoft certified technology specialist, and also he is a certified Six Sigma black belt. So you have a very big long tail, sir. So he's having 12 years of experience in strategy, marketing, program management, and operations. He has experience in handling programs in automotive and aerospace projects and spearheaded bilateral research programs with Spain and Korea. His last position was the head of corporate marketing in UCAL Group, a tier 1 manufacturer in automotive, aerospace and different domains with annual turnover of $130 million with facilities in India, US, and Europe. So he is also having various honorary positions in different ecosystem like FICCI, CAI, CI India, and other PMI chapter. Every lot of things are there. You can, if you go to the website CAI.ventures, you can see more about him. So he is passionate towards incubation technology, startups, and budding entrepreneurs. That is very much interesting, sir. So let us see some of the achievements by the CIIC. They are now top 4 in biotechnology incubator in India. Among the 4, CIIC is the youngest incubator in India. That is only 1 year it started. It has been 1 year, right?
Yes, true.
It's great achievement. Within 1 year, they have got grants for 6 startups up to 70 lakhs. And one of the startup got 50 lakhs grant. I'm talking about grant means it's not fund. It's a grant from the government without any commitment. Right, sir?
Yeah, you have, I won't say commitment, you have to achieve the milestones what
Yeah,
you have
milestones, but there won't be
but there is no return. Yeah, there is no return.
There is no equity, nothing.
Correct.
That is very much appreciated. And also they got 39 crores private funds for 3 startups.
Yeah.
That is also a good achievement, sir. And IIC itself got 1.8 crores from BioNest. It's a biotechnology entity of the government of India. That is also a big achievement where you can spend that money to bring more biotechnology startups. That is awesome, sir. And one more big achievement is getting into global. She is one of the incubator among 15 incubators in Europe India Innovation Exchange Program. That is, if you incubate in CIIC, it definitely will get into the global. It's a gateway.
Yeah, true.
That's very good achievement, sir. So first we will start with some remarks or keynotes about the current situations on startups. Whether it is a difficult time or it's a preparation time.
See, actually, in fact, I recently had another interview. There also, I told the same thing. In the sense, the economy, as you everybody knows, it is a new normal situation. People are talking about the economy as reset now. But coming back to the startups, you see, India, country like India with 1.3 billion population, we have to focus on startup and small scale entrepreneurs. Even our honorable prime minister, if you see the stimulus package, most of these packages goes to the MSMEs. When they talk about MSMEs, startups are also included into that.
Yes.
So they are actually a bottom of the pyramid, and they give with a lot of frugal solutions. See, India doesn't have a big money to invest in big R&D. So we have to work on a frugal innovation solution. Like one of the very latest example I would say is now we are facing a lot of problem with video conferencing solution. Like Zoom has some security issues, whether other Indian products doesn't have. So the government come up with a hackathon saying the 2.5 crore prize money for a video conferencing solution. They thrown the problem at national level nowadays being thrown to startups to resolve it, because the government feels that the startups can come up with a frugal solution and then they do the way. So, and recently we were watching in the last at least 3 months, the regulatory body, especially in the medical, if you see when the Indian indigenized test kits, COVID test kits are approved by a startup called MyLab, incubated in Research Center in Pune. So basically these lot of regulatory approvals, I would say it's tremendous. The government agencies are working very close. There have been a lot of grants like DST and BIRAC. So we keep seeing that every day. Our startups who are working in this domain are getting grant. Even our startups, we have 36 startups. Around 20 startups are in the life science. They immediately adapted themselves for this COVID situation. Somebody is making a textile startup, suddenly making a mask. Somebody working on the 3D printer, suddenly they have adapted into a face mask. So the I think the merit of the startups nowadays, especially in these COVID times, is that they are very agile and adaptive. I think that is the key, and that is what the India is needed, especially as per our Prime Minister, the self-reliant India. I think that's what the key. So I think so I definitely see post-COVID, and maybe after a year, I was keep telling my team, after a year, the startups are going to say, because of the COVID, we got all these positive things.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's what going to happen.
As we are almost a service nation,
Yeah.
maybe this COVID bring us a product nation.
Yeah, maybe correct. Yeah. I think
Since
this Make in India, Startup India movements are going to get very stronger and stronger foothold maybe after this COVID. That's what I feel.
okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for the notes. So usually it will be an incubation center or cell. Usually I hear that. Okay,
Yeah.
but in your in the CIC, it's a prefix suffix with council. What it means by different council?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, if you see my LinkedIn profile, I was when we started this, we called Crescent Innovation and Incubation Center because generally this is all named as a center or cell in a typical college or university environment. We also started with the center, but the government guidelines. See the in a way, these incubation cell or centers not working for university. I always say we work for the nation because we are trying to solve the unemployment problem of the country. So we always say we are not working for the university, we are working for the nation. Now, the government also funds. For example, if you say thanks to our BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology, comes under Ministry of Science and Technology, under the BioNest Incubator Program, they have funded us 1.8 crore. Now, for example, DST supports, Niti Aayog, Atal Incubation Center supports. We have similar schemes. MSME has, METI has. But what they say is, while forming this, we should form a separate legal entity. Technically, this money should not be used for university purpose. So they should be only used for entrepreneurship purpose. So they want us to create a special purpose vehicle. So they say you have to have a separate Section 8 company. If you say in a Company Act, there is a class called Section 8, which talks about a not-for-profit company. So it's like a society or a trust. So we have to form a company. So the Company Act says you can only name your Section 8 company in end up with 7 words. It's a suffix which is given by them. It should be either council, it should be either forum. So that is why if you see all these, incubation centers which are recently formed as Section 8, as either they call themselves a council or forum or federation or it's a foundation. So they are given some 7 suffix, so we have to pick it up. So we already branded ourselves as CIIC. So the moment something come up in the 7 list, I picked up which starts with C. So that sounds with this council. So we said it's council.
Okay.
So that's how it started. But otherwise, we are independent Section 8 company. We part and parcel, we work with university, but our, financially, legally, we are independent. And that's why, in fact, they brought the new role called CEO. That's why otherwise in academic world, CEO is more of a chief education officer. It's not executive officer. But they have introduced a new role. They also said this person who is heading the incubation center should be preferably from the startup and corporate background. I think because of this guideline, there's the university promoters wanted me to join. So typically they say this, it should be a typically non-academician ideally should run this because it's a different way to run, Yeah, you are creating companies. This company is going to create multiple companies.
Yeah. That's why I have a question on that. It comes later, particularly on this education and business.
Yeah.
So next is tell me more about APJ Innovation Center. What is related to CIC?
Yeah. So CIC, when this incubation center has started, it is not new. Crescent University, as you know, it is 36 years old institution formed by the legendary founder Dr. B.S. Abdul Rahman, and so their sons and nephews. So we have 6 trustees who are managing now the institution. So it's a entrepreneurship is part and parcel of it because all the DNA of our founders are all entrepreneurs. So 20 years before they formed the Entrepreneurship Development Center. So they're working mostly. See, in the ED cell, according from the UGC concept, they're more of throwing seeds. So ED cell is more of throwing seeds. Mostly they do conducting awareness programs, entrepreneurship camps, and things like that. So the next level is what generally they say you have to give some seed for a little bit, say 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. The student comes with an idea, so you have to fund them. It gives a motivation for them. So in 2008, some couple of years before, our one of our pro chancellor, Dr. Abdul Qadir, he has formed a Abdul Kalam Innovation Center. Primarily, it is the one level up than the Entrepreneurship Development Cell, but one level below than the Incubation Center. In the sense, it should do one step towards the Incubation Center. So they formed this Abdul Kalam Innovation Center. Basically, this center helps the students. So we have funded 12 student projects. I mean, we are glad to say that out of 12, the 2 are now the incubators of CIC now. So this Abdul Kalam Innovation Center was formed basically to support the student projects and motivate them to take up the startups. So that's how it formed. So once this, Abdul Kalam Innovation Center is formed in 2013, and 2018 and I joined, and we have started this initiative. Legally, we were incorporated in March 27, 2019. So when I joined it, I was more put everything as one umbrella. So CIC is one umbrella. So now we call our entrepreneur. So I don't want to spoil the legacy, and especially the newcomers should not spoil the legacy. So I said now we'll put all ED Cell, Abdul Kalam Innovation Center, and CIC all put together in one umbrella called CIC. So what we say is ED Cell is it's like a school, okay, and where you just go and understand what is about entrepreneurship. And Abdul Kalam Center is more like is an undergraduate program where you take up this, and CIC is more like a postgraduate program. So you have to go at 3 levels. So it's a 3-layer architecture which we have designed it, and then thanks to our promoters who has keep aspiring this entrepreneurship initiative since last 20 years.
It's good, sir. Is it these CIC is only for your university students or other students?
No, it's definitely open for all. In fact, as per the government norms, as I said, that's why we are not work for the university, we work for the nation. That's why
I'm talking about this innovation now, APJ.
Yes.
Innovation.
APJ Innovation Center is dedicatedly for the students of Crescent University. Okay. Whereas CIC will take, for example, we have 21 student startups nurtured under this APJ Center. So we have 36 startups who are open to all, in the sense anybody can come. So out of 36 startups, we have 8 are alumni startups, means Crescent alumni who are gone out and then they came back and then started their startup. So the remaining 28 startups are outsiders basically. So we encourage anybody who can join from outside. But this APJ Center is more for the Crescent students. So we have 21 student startups. Basically, they have not graduated yet, but they are having almost found a startup. Almost they have a team, founding team. They have a product and things like that.
So that's what one of our student community, they asked, as a student, most of us have problems with money, okay, to start working on any ideas.
Yeah.
So the question they are raising, so that's what I asked, whether this APJ Abdul, this innovation center is for all the students.
Yeah, but nevertheless, we can support any students. If I'm sure the student who's studying somewhere, they should have if they are studying it somewhere, they should have some institution innovation council. As per the AICTE norms now, should have every institution, engineering college should have. Yeah, they should support ideally, but if they nevertheless they can still approach us, we can support. We do a lot of these hackathons Whereas the other college students approaches, we helping them. So it doesn't stop literally that they should not come and participate. Still under CIC, we can support them.
Okay, very good, sir. So one of the student question is, how we should find right co-founder or team to work with. Since in CIC, when they come to you, whether you look for a team or you look for an individual.
See, ideally speaking, they should come as a team. But this problem, what you said, is a chronic problem. Every time people comes, there are some startups who ask me, can you become a co-founder in my team, sir? So in the sense, identifying the co-founder is a big problem. In fact, the top 3 failures in Indian startups, the first failure is because there is no marketing. People doesn't capture marketing. The second topmost failure is the cash. In fact, people think money is the first problem, but money is the second most problem. The third most problem is the co-founders problem. In the sense, once they grow big, the co-founders getting a problem. So we always say that the co-founder should have the same wavelength and frequency. So identifying co-founder is like more than identifying your life partner. Okay, so that's an important thing. But what we do is we actually, from investor perspective, they are looking for, they don't look for one single man company. They always doesn't invest. It's a kind of risk. So they always found a good founding team who comes with passion. For example, somebody come from their marketing background, somebody come from HR, somebody come from operation. So that's what they look for. But having said that, how we handle this problem is, whenever the people comes approach us for a problem about these co-founders, we try to connect. See, we are more like connecting dots. So because keep people, multiple startups talking to us about the same problem. So we try to see if there is any synergy, we try to connect. In fact, we have done some couple of people like this. In fact, we always encourage our startups to work with other startups. But I come from B2B background. So I always say we have to do some B2B among our startups. So we have done this already.
Yeah. I have even a question on that from the student.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually the technology startups have more tech savvy. Okay. They are more tech savvy than a business savvy, right? So how you make sure them to get into the market to start, sustain and grow?
Yeah, that is what exactly I was just now telling.
Yeah.
The biggest problem of our startups are, they are all techies. Okay, they suddenly come up with a technical idea. Let me come from little corporate perspective. I grew up in a corporate environment. I was joined as R&D, as GT. So what we do is, first, when we develop a product, we just go and do first a market survey. Okay, we say, is there any market to buy this product? Okay. Then the second we do is a benchmark survey, which is more what competitors are already doing in this product, in this segment. Okay. Then we give this input to our R&D saying that, oh, this is the market, this is what competitors are doing. Now you develop this. Okay. So this forms an input to even before even people develop the product. This forms an input for an R&D. To work on the R&D budget, these two are forms an input. But unfortunately in startup world, it works in another way. They, like Archimedes, Eureka moment, they found something. They say, oh, this is a great product. This is going to be the next Uber of the world. This is going to be the next Swiggy. So they are very passionate, emotionally bonded. They comes and tell this. But unfortunately, 90% of startups in India fail. And out of which 45% fail because simply there is no market need. So unfortunately, they are just passionate about the tech idea, but there is no market. So that is what, in fact, when we CIC primarily forms, while many incubators are there already, we said that one of our business focus, one of our thrust area is that focus them on the market side. In fact, mostly incubators stop with only providing services and helping them grants and connections, but we even go one step beyond and then help them to invent. In fact, I have traveled with some of my startups to their client meetings and see that how they will, approach their client meetings, because I come from corporate marketing perspective. So even I help them. We help them to develop market. In fact, one thing we recently started is, because our promoters have a strong foothold in Dubai, especially in the Middle East. Now we are connecting our startups to Middle East market through our connections. We are helping them. For one of the startup, we connected them who are working on a water management device. We connected them to Dubai and Qatar. So we help them to connect, which is typically in traditional definitions, the incubator doesn't do it. So these things we started doing it. So basically, I sit with my startups, helping them to make a business plan. I tell them that, see, this is what the market you should be addressing, and helping them to give some business connect. So I think we are giving more business focus uh, than a tech focus. Of course, we have a center of excellence and everything to take care of the tech aspect.
So whatever you mentioned so far, these are commercials or non-commercial? Whether the startup has to pay you or you do it at free of cost.
Yeah, so we have packages. We have three packages. The first thing is, in general, incubators tend to take the rent for the services or take equity. Okay, so some incubators are taking equity. Since we just started new, we said it's too early because the startups are very reluctant to give equity. Though they are very small, one day they think they'll be like a Flipkart and then their valuation go high. So they are very reluctant to give equity. But of course, equity is the long-term sustainability for incubator. So right now we are charging only rent. So we have three packages. So one is called basic package, package A, which is more of 3,500 rupees per month. So they have to pay. So we have given our incubation policy what we will offer in that, and the package B, which is 7,000 rupees, and package C is more 12,500 rupees. Let me very briefly tell what this package consists about. When the package A is a basic entry package, so basically we are spending some time so they can come, so they can even, we also have a co-working space. We have fortunately got 25,000 square feet independent building in our campus as a separate incubation center. I request all of you who the participants here, maybe after the lockdown, please visit because seeing is believing. So we have a co-working space. They can come and sit and work in a place. But people doesn't only come for co-working or Wi-Fi or coffee, which all these places they can get at home. Nowadays, people are equipped to work from home. So the primarily comes for the contacts in getting a government grant, connections to the other government schemes, plus the investment opportunities, plus a lot of mentoring. So the important thing is the mentoring, because as you said, I don't have a co-founder. I don't know how to make a business plan. I don't know how to do a market survey. So people comes with all these problems. So we help all these things. So in a 3,500 package, you get the basic things plus the addition into mentoring and things like that. So we also categorize company little based on the turnover. We also take a company who are mature also. Some company says we are already reach 1 or 2 crore turnover. Typically, the startup incubator doesn't take people more than 2 crore turnover. Basically, that's exit class. It's not entry class. But we will take them in a different cohort, what we call as an accelerated cohort, where we take them, but we help them in a different way. We connect them to venture capitalists. We connect them to private investors because we already have that connection. We help them to reach to Middle East, especially now we are reaching them to European market. So these things doesn't come in a basic incubator package. So what we call as a growth package, that is 7,000 rupees per month. Then we'll have 12,000, which comes with the laboratory access, because these biotech labs they need so we call Center for Life Sciences, funded by Bioness. So they can come and access it for some couple of hours. So there is a standard we have given so that they can access it. So we believe in the philosophy of different strokes for different folks. We doesn't believe one size fits all solution. So that's why we have defined this.
Yeah, the fees are very low, and I think someone is having an idea, you want to spend some 3,500 or 7,000 rupees per month.
Yeah,
it's not a high cost. They have to spend. Yeah, it's a very good deal for the.
Yeah. So I did my proper competitor survey and then I defined this pricing.
Yeah, giving that much of service and connections, 7,000 something like nothing.
Yeah.
So next question we go to. So do you help the innovators to get IP rights? I can see a center of excellence. I can see
Yeah,
some.
of course. Yeah, of course. That is an important activity. See, first when they join, we ask a couple of basic questions.
Hmm.
Like say, do you have a company? They say, no, sir. Some people have not even formed a company. Do you want? So we have an company legal, CS who are associated with them. In fact, we give a lot of at a very low price. In the sense, if you come and for example, our one of our auditor does company formation of say LLP just 5,000 rupees. Whereas if you go outside, they will get charged say 20,000 rupees. So we bulk negotiate with our partners, ecosystem partners. We tell them. So one is company formation. We ask the first question. Second is the Startup India registration, because once you register in Startup India, you get 3 years income tax benefit. Many people may not even aware about this. So, but there is free. Just in 48 hours, you get the certificate. So we just help them to get the certificate because that's a primary need. The third thing is we ask them, do you have an IP? They say, yeah, we have a good IP. It's a patentable. Then we say, please register. Don't even disclose it in the pitch deck unless you are registered as IP. So I think once you register in Startup India, there is a scheme where they get 80% subsidy of their patent. This is only available for startups. Not
1880.
80.
Wow, wow, okay.
So they get a rebate of 80%. Basically, they give a 10,000 rupees, subsidy for. So they call empanel agent. So the patent agent are available. Some agents are empanel. So we have one, Mr. Ramesh Karan, who is empaneled patent agent associated with us. So when the startup goes to him, he just take 20% cost, and then he file a patent. So he will get paid from the government directly.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think, see, the problem is, as we keep saying, in fact, I often tell this joke, incubators are the, people, they tell what temple, what time, what prasadam available for free. As the old movie joke says.
Yeah.
So in the sense, many times the information is wealth people are not aware of. And
Yes.
we often complain government that this is are not available, but what are available also we don't know. So that's why, and there is a statistics to substantiate what I said. If the startup goes to the incubator, their success rate is 20%. If the startup doesn't go to the incubator, their success rate is 7%. I think this is a proven statistics from Indian Venture Capital Equity Report. So that means that don't reinvent the wheel again. Just go to the incubator. At least they will tell you what not to do rather than what to do at least.
Yeah, instead of going to different kind of things, as an entrepreneur, he has to spend a lot of time. Even money doesn't matter for an entrepreneur. Time is more precious, right?
Yeah.
If we come to you, you are giving everything in one umbrella. Okay, we don't want to
Exactly.
spend much time, as you have agents, consultant for that to do that.
Correct. We are a one-stop shop. You don't. They need once they come to the campus, they need not even walk outside. So everything is one-stop shop.
Okay. So what are the sectors you are concentrating on this CIIT?
Yeah. So when we started, primarily we started with 3 areas. Actually, one we say the life sciences. Life sciences, when they say it includes the agriculture, even biotechnology, and medical technology, medical devices, healthcare, bioinformatics, anything healthcare or artificial intelligence. So it's all put together under the broad umbrella of life sciences. And because we have chosen this, because India is a more agricultural country, biotech, especially Chennai is a good biotech hub. It's emerging biotech hub. Bangalore and Hyderabad are there. But if you see, there are so many companies, especially in the place where we are located, LifeCell, and there are pharmaceutical companies. Many companies are situated in Chennai. So that is number one. Number two is the Industry 4.0. When I say Industry 4.0, it specifically talks about the 9, as per the definition of Industry 4, that is artificial intelligence, IoT, cybersecurity, those companies, basically. So the ITL based companies. And the third thing is, which is kind of emerging, is called mobility and transportation, because Chennai is a more automotive and defense manufacturing hub. But if you say 36 companies, we have around 21 companies in the life science. We have around 13 companies in the industry 4.0. We have just 2 companies working on, this mobility transportation. So we broadly, I would say we are focusing on 2 sectors, life science and industry 4.0. But the 5G, fintech, these are all emerging areas. We can't stop them saying that no, we can't admit you, but we see if we can bring. Actually, more now startups come with a multidisciplinary. For example, I have a startup who is working on agriculture, but you can also say they're working on artificial intelligence because they're working on precision agriculture. They're developing actually controllers for agriculture. So now you categorize them in life science or industry 4.0. So it's a combination.
Yeah.
So I think that is why now startups are emerging. But primarily we focus on these two. And anyway, thanks to BIRAC, because they have funded us, and we are anyway one of the top 4 life science incubators. So that is our primary focus. But we focus on IT and other manufacturing, because if you see Tamil Nadu, we have a focus on biotech, agri, IT plus manufacturing.
Fine. So the numbers you are saying, 36 startups. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it seems to be very less.
Mm.
Right? Whether you are restricting it or people are not approaching you.
Actually, it's other way. We are restricting it because we got 120 applications to precisely, and then we have selected only 36. In the sense, that doesn't mean that I have rejected all of them. So we have encouraged them to come up with because certain things are not very clear. As you say, we are charging. We should do justice to our, like the time. Plus, so basically, many of them we said that please go and rework and come back. Okay, so we are also now introducing a pre-incubation program. Means that we will not take them directly to the incubation, but we say them that okay, we will give you a 6 months time frame. If you can just honor what you said, then we can continue for. Typically, the incubation time is 2 to 3 years. So we say 2 to 3 years. We are not going to. We are not going to kick them out after 2 to 3 years, as long as they feel a value of associating with us. But we also don't want to take and commit our time. We are not ready. So we help them. So basically, one aspect what we thought about doing is we now put them in a APJ Innovation Center and tell them that, see, now you are not ready for post-graduation. Go and do some little bit time on undergraduation and then come back first. So that's what we do. But when we started this incubation center, we were discussing, we have IIT Madras Research Park and many successful incubators here. People, why should they come to CIC? But in fact, we had a lot of applications.
So is this application, do you have any period right now is open or?
No, we open anytime. We open anytime. I know some incubators go based on cohort, specific time on cohort, but we open anytime you can join, anytime you can apply, and then we have our advisory board members. We have an evaluation process. After the evaluation process, as soon as it is done, because we don't want to put a bureaucracy on, sometimes we take them and retrospect decision of from the advisory board also.
Fine, sir. So do you provide seed funding from CIC?
Yeah, we don't invest on our own. Generally, incubator doesn't invest on their own. And but government gives seed funding to the incubators. I know some of the incubators got the seed funding. So government gives the seed funding to us, and then we distribute back. But some of the seed funding, like say from BIRAC, it requires 3 years as an incubator to, they give. They should continue the service of 3 years. So basically, they don't want to give it to the freshers. So I think we will get soon such type of seed funding. But we help seed funding in other perspective. Like I said, we help them to get government grants. In Tamil Nadu government, EDI, Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute, thanks to them, we are closely working with them. we got 6 IVP grants, Innovation Voucher Program. It's called Innovation Voucher Program. They give 2 lakhs for market study and feasibility study, and 5 lakhs for product development. So we got for 6 of the startups. So we help them to facilitate seed grants in other perspectives.
So, as of now, this virus attack, okay, do you see more biotechnology startups will come, maybe preventing the virus?
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone is predicting that post-COVID times, there are winners and losers. For example, if you see the hospitality, the airlines are all definitely, they already lost. Maybe they continue to lose for some more time. The winner is going to be the healthcare, personal hygiene, and the people who are working on the biotech, protective PPEs and things like that. So because it's a big surge, right? So COVID is a big surge, so it is going to have some impact. So for at least for a year, for the economy to take back, or maybe a year or two to the normal situation, it's going to happen. So the market, so the supply demand has changed a bit. Okay, so now everyone is behind following the biotech startups and life science startups, and thinking about what they are doing and things like that, ventilator or PPE, etc. So definitely, as you said, as everyone predicting, these life science startups going to be given due importance at least in a year or two. Maybe after that, we need to see how the economy grows.
Fine. So I can see your vast experience in collaborating with foreign countries, other countries. Okay, what you can see as a gap in India about this entrepreneur or incubation, how it can be filled, or how to compete with the global?
Yeah, it's very right question, closer to my heart actually. Because I travel across many countries, especially one thing I noticed is that the technologies actually emerges from the academia world. If you see the Stanford or MIT, Harvard, the best of the top 10 universities, the technology emerges. They produce 2,000, 3,000 patents. In fact, I was recently got ATTP certified. It's called Registered Technology Transfer Professional. Again, thanks to BIRAC, they have picked up 25 candidates across the country to set up a technology transfer office. See, we don't have a proper technology transfer office in the country. So we say technology, commercialization, things like that. We don't do proper technology transfer. And while we are saying that Stanford, MIT, their royalty revenue comes from their technology is very higher than their academic revenue. So the point is the technology emerges from them and it goes and lands in industry. Okay, whereas here, to be very frank, but the technologies emerging from academia are still at paper level. What the NASA defines is called technology readiness level from 1 to 9. So unless the technology readiness level 4 or 5, unless the academia produces, then only you can go to the commercialization. But our technology readiness level, majority of the academia is at level 1, 2, or maybe not more than 3. So this will be a big problem. Okay, so they could not do it. So now the BIRAC, they call National Biopharma Mission, they said we need to change this aspect. So they funding now to set up a technology transfer office. It's a World Bank and BIRAC combination. It's a 250 crore. They are funding. So one of them is competency development. When they said how to set up technology transfer office, is there any competent professional? Then we don't see people who knows this aspect. So then they selected across the country. There are 25 people. I'm glad to be one. And so they have trained us 10 days training. It's completely sponsored by them. It's called RTTP, Registered Technology Transfer Professional, by ATTP Express. It's called Alliance of Technology Transfer Professionals. There are around 500 in the country. from the 500 in the globe, 500 plus in the globe, and there are only 18 in India. And maybe I am the first one, maybe from Tamil Nadu. So what we have been given training from the Stanford and the various professors who are working in various things, the technology development centers, they say, how do you develop the technology and how do you license it to the industry and how do you get royalty? In fact, we are keep talking about startups often, but in US, Western world, they talk about spin out or spin off. That means that the startup or the student or the industry will go to them, to the academia or the university. We say them, can you please, license your technology to me? And then startup emerges from that. So the spin-off is basically in Western world, how it works is the professor who is developing the technology, he will find a student, give him the technology, license it, and he will go and start his own startup. Now imagine, now we are saying we need to develop a lot of startups, but we are expecting the startups to come up with a basic idea. I want you to ask this question: what do you expect from the startup? So we want at least a startup to come up with a basic idea. We cannot. In fact, some people come and ask me, "Sir, can you give idea?" and then help us to get grant. That we can't do at the moment. So we at least bare minimum we want them to come up with the idea, if not the team. So whereas if you have a good technology coming out from these institutions, then we can tell them, if somebody asks, do you have idea? Yes, come. I have these technologies, 100 technologies. Now pick one, which you like it. And then you go and commercialize it, we will help you. I think this is the big difference between India and Western country when coming to this startup scenario.
Yes, I can even hear in Indo-Europe from Bulgaria, one of the academica, they came and they talked about this relation between academica and entrepreneurship. It's a half an hour session. It's a mind blowing. I didn't expect from Eastern Europe. So they are doing very good connecting the academia and entrepreneurship. So it's very good, sir. Now, last question. We have another 15 seconds.
Okay.
How you can see innovation and technology when we compete with the China? Why I'm saying this? Now, even if you want to develop a hardware, okay, still we are depending upon in China, right? We have to buy from China. So how you can see this? Since we make in India, we are talking about make in India. We are going for a product nation. Then we need basic, hardwares, right, to do that.
Yeah.
Still, we are depending upon to China. What is your take on this?
Yeah. See, actually, I've been into the business world, corporate world. There are times where we attended meetings where people said, "Why are you not sourcing from China?" So now people saying you should not source it from it and then do it from India, make it India. So I think the China has a great advantage of economies of scale. They give it at low price because of the economies of scale, and everything has to start. Okay, now when we are saying we can't do it at the competitive price in India because we don't have the economy of scale, whereas the China is the first mover advantage. Okay, now at some point of time, that's why I think this Make in India started. But this Make in India was not even much focused from the industry perspective because they were already dependent on the China and they were already competitive. It's a cutthroat market. They don't want to just do the experiment again. But now I think the India has forced to, but India has the biggest advantage of China. Similar like China, we have this population, we have the demographic dividend. I think we will easily replicate, and people keep reading newspapers. Other companies from China are moving up to the India because India is the next China.
Yeah, I can see even in China, the Gudsa Tolil, they make chips in the house, right?
Correct.
That we have to bring. Actually, I worked in a company previously in yearly 2000. They manufacture chips, okay, for keyboards for ISRO in Kakinada. But the rate was very high. Over the years, they could not be able to compete with the China. So my boss, what he did is he stopped manufacturing it. He went to China. He he imported all the chips very cheap, but he made sure it's quality. Out of 100, 20 will go off. Okay. So he will say with the margin, he started selling at 8, some margin, and he's selling another 80 pieces to them. So this, on the time, I foresee that this is a bad situation for India. Since we stopped manufacturing, even a manufacturer could not able to make the margins, he stopped it and he become a trader.
Yeah.
Just with the quality checking.
Mm.
So I don't know how it has been transferred. No.
Yeah, but we have the great, but we have the great potential. I think as a country, we should focus on. I think that's what Prime Minister also talked about. We have to create the demand and supply in the country. Yeah. That's what is going to happen.
Yeah. Even if you see the mobile manufacturing, they are not manufacturing; they are assembling.
That's true.
Nobody is manufacturing. Here, everything is assembling. So that's
Yeah.
what. Still, I see that Make in India doesn't still started yet.
Yeah.
For small thing, I'm not talking about very big, innovation. I'm talking about the what you say source like chips,
Yeah.
RAM. Still, we are buying RAM from China.
Yes. Yeah, especially. Yeah, because of the economies of scale, I think. But I think India will soon, maybe in years to come, we will replicate.
Some of the students I mentor, they have an idea, but they don't know how to buy that component. They go to Rishi Street, they find it. Sometimes they can't find it. They have to go to Alibaba and they have to buy. Those things you help in your incubation center.
Yeah, see, we have a lot of hardware startups now coming up. In fact, some of our startups were even sourcing from China before COVID. But they have the potential. See, they enjoy the cost. I won't say India doesn't have the technology to do it. It's only a cost advantage. I think now we will replicate that soon. That cost advantage
Okay.
once we focus on India.
Okay. So when you talk about this biotechnology, okay, those are not hardwares. Those are softwares or what? Uh,
It's a combination actually. It's a hardware based. So when we nowadays it's a more of combination. For example, the artificial intelligence or IoT are used in devices, medical devices. In fact, the devices. In fact, we have a couple of startups who are working in the IoT in the medical device application. I think that's what the I think that's what I'm saying. I think going forward, it will be a more multidisciplinary startup, technology areas rather than one single focus areas.
yeah. Yes. Fine. I can see any questions from the students. Okay, some of the questions they are asking how we should handle legal things. Okay, already you have excellence of center for that, and you are
Yeah.
supporting
So
for that.
once they come, we can educate them.
How we should approach any investors for initial funding. So those will also be taken care by you.
Yeah. So there are some seed investors. We will help them to connect. But for the early stage startups, we primarily connect them to government schemes.
Fine. Fine. You have anything to say, sir? Anything?
Yeah, I think I think we have a great times ahead. As I told, the startups post COVID will have a great times, and I'm very glad to be part of this journey. And then thanks to our promoters, this Crescent and CIC promoters, who are helping us hard in these tough times. And then we are passionate about one word called entrepreneurship, and then we continue to do it. And I thank UBC continue to do the community activity. I think we should start working together in many projects.
Thank you for your time, sir. For all the viewers, go to www.cic.ventures. You can get more information from that. They have a PDF to download and read about this incubation policy, where it has everything, whatever he is saying, and it's crystal clear. And they have a lot of fabrication labs, biotechnology labs. Those information are there. So you can go to the website www.ciic.ventures. Thanks for your time, sir. We would like to collaborate with you through UBC, as well as personally when we talk about my innovative thoughts on a product. Let's connect offline. I'm looking forward for your support for UBC.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. All the best, and then we will all meet together maybe once all this COVID.
We will plan a tour. Okay, your 25,000 square feet tour.
Correct.
In UBC, and we can put it as something like like a walkthrough interview or something like that.
Sure. In incubation center too. Definitely, we're happy to do it.
That will be more interesting for the viewers and the community to see how it works.
Sure. Definitely. Of course, it's our pleasure.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.